Hey everyone, and welcome to today's video. I'm honestly so happy to have you here. Whether this is your first time dropping by or you've been with me for a while, I really appreciate you taking a moment out of your day to watch. In this video, we're going to dive into some things that I hope you'll find fun, useful, and worth your time. My goal is always to create a space where we can learn, talk, and enjoy the journey together. And I'm truly grateful for every single one of you who joins me here. And if you enjoy my style or the kind of content I make, it would really mean a lot to me if you hit that subscribe button. Your support helps me keep going and create even better videos, and I'd love to have you as part of this growing community. So sit back, relax, and let's jump right into it. Thanks again for being here.
The stepmother from hell. Okay, so let me tell you about Emma. This girl, she was only 8 years old when her whole world got flipped upside down. And I'm not talking about some feel-good movie where everything works out in the end. Nah, this is the real deal. The kind of story that makes your stomach turn because you know it actually happens to kids out there. So Emma's mom died when she was 7. Cancer. It was brutal. You know, one day her mom's there making her pancakes and braiding her hair, and then boom, 6 months later, she's gone. Just like that. And Emma, this poor kid, she's trying to process it all while her dad's walking around the house like a zombie, barely keeping it together. Now here's where things get interesting, or I guess I should say here's where things get really messed up. Her dad, Tom, he meets this woman named Victoria at some grief support group. Yeah, I know what you're thinking, and you're right to be suspicious. Victoria swoops in like some kind of vulture, all sweet and understanding, telling Tom exactly what he wants to hear. She's got this whole act down, right? The caring listener, the gentle soul who just gets it. They start dating maybe 4 months after Emma's mom passes. 4 months. And Emma, she's still sleeping with her mom's sweater under her pillow, still crying herself to sleep most nights. And suddenly there's this strange woman showing up at their house with casseroles and that fake sympathy smile plastered on her face. At first, Victoria's playing her real smart. She's bringing Emma little gifts, nothing too big, just like, I don't know, a stuffed animal here, some candy there. She's complimenting her, saying things like, "Oh, Emma, you're such a brave girl," and "Your mom would be so proud of you." And Emma's dad, he's eating it up because he wants so badly to believe that things can be okay again, that his daughter can have some kind of mother figure, that his family can feel whole. But Emma, she's not buying it. Kids have this instinct, you know? They can smell fake from a mile away. And there's something about Victoria that just doesn't sit right with her. Maybe it's the way Victoria's smile never quite reaches her eyes, or the way her voice changes just slightly when Tom leaves the room. Emma can't put her finger on it, but she knows something's off. 6 months after they start dating, Tom proposes. 6 months. Emma's mom hasn't even been gone a year, and he's already putting a ring on this woman's finger. And when he tells Emma, she just stands there in the kitchen, frozen, watching Victoria hug her dad with this triumphant look on her face that disappears the second Tom glances her way. The wedding happens fast, like Victoria's in some kind of rush to make it official. It's a small ceremony, nothing fancy, and Emma has to stand there in this stupid frilly dress that Victoria picked out, watching her dad marry a woman she barely knows. And the whole time, she's thinking about her real mom, wondering what she would say, if she'd be hurt or angry or disappointed. The first few weeks after the wedding, Victoria keeps up the act pretty well when Tom's around. But the cracks are starting to show. Little things at first. Like Emma will reach for a second cookie and Victoria will say, real sweet but with an edge, "Oh, honey, you don't want to get chunky, do you?" And Emma's 8, right? She doesn't even know what to do with a comment like that. Or Emma will be watching her favorite show, and Victoria will come in and change the channel, saying, "This is family time now, sweetie. And I think we should watch something more educational." But it's never educational stuff. It's always whatever Victoria wants to watch. And if Emma complains, Victoria gets this hurt look on her face and says something like, "I'm just trying to help you grow into a smart young lady. I thought you'd appreciate that." Tom, he doesn't see any of this. He's working long hours, trying to keep up with the bills, and when he comes home, Victoria's all smiles and sweetness, asking about his day, having dinner ready, being the perfect wife. And Emma, she tries to tell him. She says, "Dad, Victoria's being mean to me." But it comes out all whiny and childish, because how do you explain manipulation to an 8-year-old, let alone get her to articulate it in a way an adult will take seriously? And Tom, he's so desperate for things to work, he just says, "Emma, sweetheart, Victoria's trying really hard. Can you please try to get along with her for me?" And what's Emma supposed to say to that? So she nods and keeps her mouth shut, and Victoria smirks at her from across the room when Tom's not looking. Things escalate maybe 2 months after the wedding. That's when Victoria starts getting bolder. Emma comes home from school one day, and all her mom's pictures are gone. Like, every single one. The one on the mantle, the one in the hallway, the one by her bedside. All of them just vanished. And Emma, she freaks out, obviously. She's running through the house, tears streaming down her face, looking everywhere. Victoria's in the kitchen, humming to herself while she chops vegetables. And Emma runs in and screams, "Where are my mom's pictures? What did you do with them?" And Victoria, she doesn't even look up from the cutting board. She just says, real calm, "Oh, those old things? I packed them away. I thought it was time we started fresh, you know? All those reminders of the past, they're not healthy. We need to focus on our new family now." Emma's standing there, can't believe what she's hearing, and she yells, "They're not old things. That's my mom. I want them back." And this is where Victoria shows her true colors for the first time. Really lets the mask slip. She puts down the knife, walks over to Emma, and leans down so they're face to face. And she says, real quiet, but with this ice-cold tone, "I am your mother now. That woman is dead and gone, and the sooner you accept that, the easier your life is gonna be. Now go to your room before I tell your father how disrespectful you're being." Emma runs to her room, sobbing, and she tries to tell her dad when he gets home. But Victoria's already spun the story. She tells Tom, with these fake tears in her eyes, "Emma had a meltdown today. I tried to do some redecorating, just trying to make the house feel like ours, you know, like a family, and she completely lost it. She said some really hurtful things. I know she's struggling, but Tom, I'm trying so hard, and I don't know what else to do. And Tom, he buys it completely. He goes up to Emma's room and gives her this whole lecture about being kind to Victoria, about how they're a family now, about how her mom would want her to be happy. And Emma's trying to explain what really happened. But she's 8, and she's crying, and she's not making sense. And Tom just thinks she's being a difficult kid who's acting out. That night, Emma searches everywhere for the pictures, but they're gone. Victoria threw them away. Every single one. The only picture Emma has left of her mom is the one she kept hidden in her backpack. A small school photo that she carries with her everywhere now. Terrified Victoria will find it and take that too. Things get worse from there, like exponentially worse. Victoria starts implementing all these rules. Emma can't eat until Victoria says so. She can't watch TV unless her homework is done to Victoria's standards, which are basically impossible. She can't have friends over because Victoria says the house needs to stay clean. She can't go to sleepovers because Victoria decides it's not appropriate. And it's all framed as discipline, as structure, as what's best for Emma. When Tom questions any of it, Victoria just sighs and says, Tom, you're too soft on her. She needs boundaries. She needs someone to actually parent her, not just be her friend. And Tom, he doesn't know what to do because part of him wonders if she's right, if maybe he has been too lenient since his wife died. The psychological warfare really amps up around Emma's 9th birthday. Victoria throws her this big party, invites all these kids from school that Emma barely knows, orders this huge fancy cake, decorates the whole house, and on the surface, it looks like she's being this amazing stepmom, right? But Emma knows the truth. This party isn't for her. It's for Victoria. It's so she can show off to the other parents, so she can play the role of the devoted mother. Emma's not allowed to have any say in the party. She wanted a small thing with her 3 best friends. Maybe go to the movies or something simple. But no, Victoria planned this whole elaborate event. And Emma has to stand there and smile and pretend she's grateful while a bunch of kids she doesn't even like run around her house. And the cake, oh man, the cake. It's this beautiful 3-tier thing with pink frosting and flowers, and everyone's taking pictures. And Victoria's beaming like she made it herself, even though she ordered it from the fanciest bakery in town. But here's the thing. Emma's allergic to strawberries. Not like super deathly allergic, but enough that she gets hives and her throat gets itchy and she feels sick. And the cake, it's strawberry. The filling, the frosting, everything. When it's time to cut the cake, Victoria makes this big show of giving Emma the first piece. And Emma just stares at it and she whispers, I can't eat this. I'm allergic to strawberries. And Victoria, she laughs like Emma just told the funniest joke. And she says, loud enough for everyone to hear, oh, sweetie, don't be silly. It's your birthday cake. Of course you can have some. Emma tries to protest, but all the other parents are watching. And Victoria's giving her this look. And Emma knows if she makes a scene, she'll pay for it later. So she takes a tiny bite, and sure enough, within 20 minutes, she's got hives creeping up her neck and her throat's getting scratchy. She goes to the bathroom and just sits on the floor, trying not to cry, trying not to scratch at her skin. When she finally comes out, the party's winding down, and Victoria finds her and hisses in her ear, "You embarrassed me, disappearing like that. You're gonna regret that." And she does regret it, because that night, after all the guests are gone and Tom's helping clean up downstairs, Victoria comes into Emma's room. She's got that smile on her face, the one that makes Emma's blood run cold. And she says, "You know, your father and I have been talking, and we think you need to learn some responsibility. So from now on, you're going to be doing more chores. And if they're not done perfectly, well, there will be consequences." The chores start the next day, and we're not talking like take out the trash or make your bed. No, Victoria's got Emma scrubbing floors on her hands and knees, cleaning bathrooms, doing dishes, folding laundry, organizing closets for hours every day after school. And if something's not done exactly right, Victoria makes her do it again and again. Sometimes until midnight. Tom doesn't know because Victoria times it all for when he's working late or when he's tired and not paying attention. And when he is around, Victoria makes sure Emma's doing age-appropriate chores, stuff that looks normal, but the second he leaves, it's back to the brutal routine. Emma's grades start slipping because she's exhausted all the time, and she doesn't have time to do homework. And Victoria, she uses that against her, telling Tom, "See, this is what happens when a child doesn't have structure. She needs to learn that actions have consequences." And Tom grounds Emma, takes away her phone, her computer, any connection to the outside world she might have had. Emma tries to tell her dad what's really going on. One night, she waits until Victoria's taking a bath, and she goes to Tom and just breaks down. She tells him everything: the chores, the cruelty, the way Victoria talks to her when he's not around. And Tom, he listens. He really does. And for a moment, Emma thinks maybe, finally, he believes her. Period. But then Victoria comes downstairs in her bathrobe, her hair all perfect, even though she was supposedly just in the bath, and she overhears the tail end of the conversation. And her face, it does this thing where she looks absolutely devastated, like Emma just stabbed her in the heart. She sits down next to Tom and says, real quiet, "Emma, honey, I know you're still grieving your mom. I know I can never replace her, and I'm not trying to. But these stories you're telling, they're not true, and it breaks my heart that you see me this way. I love you, sweetie. I'm just trying to help raise you, trying to give you the tools you'll need to be successful. I'm sorry if my methods seem harsh, but it's only because I care." And then she starts crying, these perfect little tears that roll down her cheeks, and Tom puts his arm around her, and he looks at Emma with this mixture of disappointment and frustration, and Emma knows she's lost. She's completely lost. Tom sends Emma to her room, and through the walls, she can hear him apologizing to Victoria, reassuring her, telling her she's doing a great job. And Emma just lies in bed, staring at the ceiling, wondering how her life turned into this nightmare. School becomes Emma's only escape, but Victoria's got her tentacles in there too. She volunteers to be room mom, shows up to every event, befriends all the teachers. She's always there, always watching, always making sure Emma can't say anything to anyone. And because Victoria's so charming, when Emma tries to talk to the school counselor, Mrs. Henderson, about what's happening at home, the counselor listens patiently, then gently explains that grief can make us see things in a distorted way, that stepmothers have a hard job, and sometimes we direct our anger at them unfairly. And Emma realizes that Victoria's already been there, already planted seeds, already set up the narrative, that Emma's just a troubled kid acting out. Mrs. Henderson calls Victoria in for a meeting, supposedly to discuss Emma's adjustment issues, and Victoria shows up with homemade cookies and this concerned expression. And she tells Mrs. Henderson, with Emma sitting right there, how hard she's trying, how much she loves Emma, how difficult it is to parent a child who refuses to accept her. And Mrs. Henderson nods sympathetically and looks at Emma and says, "Emma, sweetheart, you have now, instead of holding on to the past." Emma stops talking after that. What's the point? No one believes her. Victoria's won. She's got everyone fooled. The abuse gets more creative, more psychological. Victoria starts doing things like throwing away Emma's homework right before it's due, then acting confused when Emma can't find it. She accidentally donates Emma's favorite clothes to Goodwill. She tells Tom that Emma's been lying about being hungry when really Victoria hasn't let her eat lunch. She schedules doctor's appointments for Emma and tells the doctor that Emma's been having behavioral problems, setting up a paper trail that makes Emma look unstable. One day, Emma comes home from school and her room's been completely redone. All her stuff, the posters she picked out with her mom, the bedspread they bought together, the books her mom used to read to her, all of it gone, replaced with this sterile, magazine perfect room that looks like a furniture store display. Nothing personal, nothing that makes it Emma's. Victoria's sitting on the new bed, smiling. "Surprise! I thought it was time for a more mature room. You're 9 now, after all," she says. Because, a 9-year-old definitely needs a room like this. Practically a young lady. Don't you love it? Emma doesn't love it. That night, Emma finds some of her old stuff in the garage, shoved into a trash bag. She sneaks out and rescues what she can, hides it in the back of her closet. Terrified Victoria will find it and throw it away for real this time. The years start blending together in this haze of misery. 10 years old, 11, 12. Victoria's hold on the household is absolute now. Tom's completely under her spell, believing every word she says, trusting her judgment implicitly. And Emma's just surviving day by day, getting through it the only way she knows how. She starts spending as much time as possible outside the house, stays late at school, joins every club she can, volunteers for every after-school activity, anything to avoid going home. And when she does have to be home, she makes herself small, invisible, trying not to draw Victoria's attention. But Victoria, she doesn't like that Emma's slipping through her fingers. The screws even more. She starts monitoring Emma's every move, puts parental controls on Emma's phone that track her location, read her texts, see everything she does online. And she frames it to Tom as being a responsible parent, saying things like, "You hear about all these kids getting into trouble online? We need to protect her." Tom agrees, of course, because it sounds reasonable when Victoria says it. But what he doesn't know is that Victoria's using it to control Emma, to isolate her. Anytime Emma tries to make plans with friends, Victoria finds a reason to say no. "Oh, that girl's family seems troubled. That boy's grades aren't very good. I don't think he's a good influence. Emma has too much homework this weekend." Emma's 12 now, and she's basically a prisoner in her own home. She has no friends because Victoria scanned them all away. She has no privacy because Victoria goes through her stuff constantly. She has no voice because no one listens when she tries to speak up. And the worst part? Victoria's starting to get physical. Nothing that leaves obvious marks. She's too smart for that. But she'll grab Emma's arm hard enough to bruise, twist it just a little when no one's looking. She'll accidentally bump into Emma in the hallway, sending her crashing into the wall. She'll pull Emma's hair when she's fixing it, yanking hard enough to bring tears to Emma's eyes. One time, Emma's doing dishes and she drops a plate. It shatters all over the kitchen floor, and before Emma can even apologize, Victoria's on her. She grabs Emma by the shoulders and shakes her, screaming in her face about how careless she is, how ungrateful, how expensive those plates were. And then she makes Emma clean up the broken glass with her bare hands. No gloves, no broom, just her hands. Emma cuts her palm on a sharp piece, and blood starts dripping onto the floor. And Victoria just stands there, watching with her arms crossed. "Clean it up," she says. "All of it. And if you get blood on my clean floor, you'll be scrubbing it with a toothbrush." Emma's crying, her hands bleeding, and she's picking up pieces of broken plate. And the whole time, Victoria's just watching, making sure every single shard is picked up. When Tom comes home and sees Emma's bandaged hand, Victoria tells him Emma was being careless with the dishes and cut herself. "I told her to be more careful," Victoria says with a sigh. But she just doesn't listen. Around this time, Emma starts having nightmares. Bad ones. She dreams that Victoria's chasing her through the house and she can't find anywhere to hide. She dreams that she's screaming for her dad, but he can't hear her, like there's some kind of invisible wall between them. She dreams about her real mom, and in the dreams, her mom's trying to tell her something important, but Emma can't hear what she's saying. She starts waking up in cold sweats, heart pounding, and sometimes She swears she can hear Victoria outside her door, just standing there, listening. She'll get up and check, and sometimes there's a shadow under the door, proof that someone was there. But by the time Emma opens the door, the hallway's empty. It messes with her head, you know? Emma starts questioning her own reality. Maybe she's the problem. Maybe Victoria's right, and she's just a troubled kid who can't accept her new family. Maybe her memories of her mom are making her unfair to Victoria. Maybe she's going crazy. She starts withdrawing into herself, stops fighting back because it never works anyway. Just becomes this quiet, obedient ghost of a kid who does what she's told and tries not to feel anything. It's easier that way. If she doesn't fight, Victoria has less ammunition. If she doesn't care. But Victoria, she doesn't like this new version of Emma either. She wants a reaction. She needs Emma to fight back so she can play the victim, so she can go crying to Tom about how difficult Emma is. So she escalates even more, trying to get a rise out of her. And she starts taking away meals as punishment for the smallest infractions. Emma forgets to put a dish in the dishwasher. No dinner. Emma gets a B instead of an A on a test. No breakfast. Emma takes too long in the shower. No lunch. And Tom doesn't know because Victoria packs Emma's lunch, makes her breakfast before Tom wakes up, serves dinner, and tells Tom that Emma already ate. Emma's losing weight, getting these dark circles under her eyes. Her teacher, Miss Rodriguez, notices and asks if everything's okay at home. And Emma, she's so desperate for someone to see her, to really see her. She almost tells the truth. The words are right there, on the tip of her tongue. But then she thinks about what happened last time she tried to tell someone. She thinks about how good Victoria is at lying, at manipulating, at making Emma look like the problem. And she thinks about what Victoria will do to her if she finds out Emma talked. So she just smiles and says, "Yeah, everything's fine. I've just been staying up late reading." Ms. Rodriguez doesn't look convinced, but what can she do? She can't accuse a parent of abuse without proof, and Emma's not giving her any. So she just tells Emma that her door's always open if Emma needs to talk, and Emma nods and goes back to her desk, and another potential lifeline slips away. That summer, when Emma's 13, things come to a head. Tom has to go on a business trip for a week. A whole week. And Emma's gonna be alone with Victoria. No buffer, no protection, nothing. She begs her dad not to go. Like, actually begs him. She says she doesn't feel good, makes up some stomach bug, says she needs him there. But Tom thinks she's just being clingy, and Victoria's whispering in his ear that Emma needs to learn independence, that Tom can't always be there to coddle her. So he goes, and Emma watches his car pull out of the driveway with this sinking feeling in her stomach, like she's watching her last chance at survival drive away. The first night, Victoria doesn't even pretend anymore. She comes into Emma's room without knocking, stands at the foot of the bed, and just stares at Emma with this look on her face. It makes Emma's blood run cold. "Just you and me now," Victoria says, real quiet. "No one to hear you, no one to save you. I think it's time you learned your place in this house, once and for all." She makes Emma get up, follow her downstairs to the kitchen. It's almost midnight, and Victoria starts pulling out cleaning supplies, and Emma knows what's coming. Victoria's gonna make her clean the entire house, top to bottom, through the night. And she does. Emma scrubs floors until her knees are raw. She cleans bathrooms until her hands are cracked and bleeding from the chemicals. She washes windows, vacuums carpets, dusts every surface, organizes every closet. And Victoria follows her around, criticizing everything, making her redo things over and over. By the time the sun comes up, Emma's dead on her feet. She hasn't slept at all. She's exhausted. She's in pain. And Victoria looks at her with satisfaction and says, "Good. Now go get ready for school." Sss. Emma wants to cry. She wants to scream. She wants to just collapse on the floor and give up. But she doesn't. She goes upstairs, takes a quick shower, puts on her uniform, and goes to school like nothing happened. She falls asleep in class. Can't help it. Her head just drops onto her desk during math, and she's out. Her teacher wakes her up, concerned, asks if she's okay. Emma mumbles something about not sleeping well and tries to pay attention, but her eyes keep closing. At lunch, she's so hungry, she feels dizzy. Victoria didn't let her eat breakfast, said she didn't deserve it after doing such a poor job cleaning. Emma's got $5 in her backpack, money she's been saving from birthday cards, and she uses it to buy a sandwich from the cafeteria. She eats it so fast, she almost chokes, and it's the best thing she's ever tasted. That pattern continues for the entire week. Victoria works Emma like a slave every night, lets her sleep maybe 2 or 3 hours if she's lucky, then sends her to school. She's playing a dangerous game, pushing Emma right to the edge, but not quite over it, making sure there's just enough plausible deniability. By the time Tom comes home, Emma's a wreck. She's lost more weight. She's got bruises on her knees from scrubbing floors. Her hands are raw. Her eyes are hollow. But Victoria's cleaned her up good for Tom's arrival, put makeup on her to hide the worst of it, dressed her in long sleeves to cover the bruises. And Victoria smiles and says, "Oh, it was wonderful. Emma and I really bonded, didn't we, sweetheart?" And she looks at Emma with this warning in her eyes, daring her to contradict the story. Emma just nods, doesn't trust herself to speak. If she opens her mouth, she might start screaming and never stop. Tom doesn't notice anything's wrong. Or maybe he doesn't want to notice. Maybe it's easier to believe that everything's fine, that his new wife is wonderful, that his daughter's just going through normal teenage stuff. Either way, he doesn't ask questions, doesn't look too close, doesn't see the truth that's right in front of him. ... That night, Emma lies in bed and thinks about running away. She's thought about it before, lots of times, but tonight she actually starts planning it. Where she'd go, how she'd survive, what she'd take with her. The small picture of her mom that she keeps hidden in her backpack, some clothes, whatever money she can scrape together. But she's 13. Where's she gonna go? How's she gonna live? And part of her, the part that still remembers when her dad used to protect her, that part keeps hoping that someday he'll wake up and see what's really happening. that someday he'll choose her over Victoria. So she stays, and the nightmare continues. 8th grade starts, and Emma's basically a zombie. She goes through the motions, does her work, keeps her head down. She's got no friends anymore because Victoria's successfully isolated her from everyone. The other kids think she's weird, antisocial, stuck up. They don't know that she's not allowed to have friends over, that her phone's monitored 24/7, that any time she tries to make plans, Victoria shuts it down. There's this one girl, though, Jessica, who's new to the school. She doesn't know Emma's reputation, doesn't know to stay away. She sits next to Emma in English class and actually tries to talk to her, asks her about books, about music, normal stuff. And Emma, she's so starved for human connection that she actually responds. They start talking during class, and it's nice, you know? It's been so long since Emma had. They start sitting together at lunch, and Emma feels like maybe, just maybe, things might get a tiny bit better. Having one friend, one person who sees her as a human being, it's like water in a desert. But Victoria finds out, of course she does. She's got spies everywhere, other moms who report back to her, teachers who think they're being helpful by keeping her informed. And Victoria, she can't have Emma forming connections, can't have Emma finding support outside the house. So she does what she does best. She manipulates the situation. She calls Jessica's mom, introduces herself as Emma's concerned stepmother, and tells her that Emma's been having some behavioral issues, that she's a troubled kid from a broken home who's acting out. She says she's worried about Emma being a bad influence on Jessica, feeding her lies about her family life, maybe even stealing things. Jessica's mom, she doesn't know any better. She believes Victoria because why wouldn't she? Victoria sounds so sincere, so worried, so reasonable. So she tells Jessica that she can't be friends with Emma anymore, that Emma's not a good person to be around. And just like that, Emma's lifeline is cut. Jessica stops talking to her, starts avoiding her in the halls, sits with other people at lunch. Emma tries to ask her what happened, but Jessica just looks uncomfortable and walks away. Emma figures out pretty quick that Victoria's behind it, and something inside her just breaks. She's tried so hard to endure, to survive, to keep hoping that things will get better. But they're not getting better. They're never gonna get better. Victoria's won, completely and totally. She stops eating, even when food's available. Just doesn't see the point. She stops doing her homework, stops trying in school. Her grades plummet from B's and C's to D's and F's. Her teachers express concern, send notes home, but those notes go straight to Victoria, who spins them into more evidence that Emma's a troubled, rebellious teenager. Tom finally notices something's really wrong when Emma's report card comes. All D's and F's, multiple absences. Notes from teachers about her sweeping in class and not turning in work. He sits her down, really looks at her for the first time in months, and sees how thin she is, how dead her eyes look. Emma, what's going on? He asks, and there's genuine concern in his voice. Talk to me, sweetheart. What's happening? And Emma, she wants to tell him so badly. She wants to spill everything, every awful thing Victoria's done, every way she's been hurt and manipulated and abused. But she looks past her dad and sees Victoria standing in the doorway, watching them with that cold smile on her face. And Emma knows it's useless. Nothing, Emma says flatly. I'm just tired. Tries to push, asks more questions, but Emma's shut down completely. She's not giving him anything, because what's the point? He'll just believe Victoria anyway. He always does. After Emma goes to her room, Tom and Victoria have a long talk. Emma can hear them through the walls. Victoria's voice rising and falling. Tom's getting louder and more frustrated. And she knows Victoria's spinning her web, feeding him lies, making Emma out to be the villain in this story. The next morning, Tom tells Emma they're sending her to a therapist. We think you need professional help, he says. And he looks so tired, so defeated. We love you, Emma, but we don't know how to help you anymore. Emma just nods, doesn't point out that she tried to tell them she needed help years ago. Doesn't mention that the real problem is sitting across the table from them, eating her grapefruit and pretending to care. The therapist's name is Dr. Patterson, and she's actually pretty cool. Mid-40s, kind eyes, office full of plants and comfortable furniture. She tells Emma that this is a safe space, that anything Emma says stays between them unless Emma's in danger of hurting herself or others. For the first few sessions, Emma doesn't say much, just sits there answering Dr. Patterson's questions with one-word responses, keeping all her walls up. But Dr. Patterson's patient. She doesn't push. She just talks to Emma about normal stuff, about books and movies and school, building trust slowly. And then one day, Emma just breaks. Something about the way Dr. Patterson asks, "How are things at home?" just cracks her open, and everything comes pouring out. All of it. The abuse, the manipulation, the isolation, the starvation, the impossible chores, the way Victoria's turned her dad against her. She talks for an hour straight, barely stopping to breathe. And by the end, she's crying so hard she can barely see. And Dr. Patterson just sits there, listening to every word, her expression getting more and more serious. When Emma finally stops talking, Dr. Patterson says, "Emma, what you're describing is abuse. Serious abuse. I need to report this." And Emma feels this surge of hope, the first real hope she's felt in years. Finally, someone believes her. Finally, someone's gonna do something. Dr. Patterson files a report with Child Protective Services that same day. A social worker comes to Emma's school, pulls her out of class, asks her questions. Emma tells her everything, shows her the bruises on her knees, the cuts on her hands, explains about the starvation and the sleep deprivation. The social worker seems sympathetic. She takes notes, takes pictures, promises Emma that they're gonna investigate, that they're gonna make sure she's safe. Emma dares to believe that maybe, finally, this nightmare's ending. But Victoria, she's been playing this game for years. She's good at it. By the time the social worker shows up at the house for a home visit, Victoria's got everything in order. The house is perfect. The fridge is full. Emma's room looks like a normal teenager's room. All the evidence of Victoria's redecorating tantrum, carefully staged to look like Emma, just has different taste. And Victoria, she's the picture of a concerned parent. She tells the social worker that Emma's been struggling with grief, that she's been acting out, making up stories for attention. She shows them the notes from school about Emma's failing grades and behavioral. The social worker talks to Emma, and Emma can tell just from the way she's asking questions, she doesn't believe her anymore. The evidence just doesn't support Emma's story. There's no proof of starvation. Victoria made sure to feed Emma well for a few days before the visit. The bruises could be from normal kid stuff. The chores Emma describes sound strict but not abusive. And everyone else is saying Emma's a troubled kid who lies for attention. The case gets closed. Unfounded allegations. The social worker tells Emma that if things get bad again, she can call. But Emma can see in her eyes that she thinks Emma made it all up. And Emma realizes she's more trapped than ever. Because now Victoria knows that Emma tried to get her in trouble, tried to expose her, and Victoria's pissed, really pissed. The night after the CPS case gets closed, Emma's lying in bed, can't sleep, waiting for the other shoe to drop. She knows Victoria's gonna retaliate. It's just a question of when and how. And around midnight, she hears her door open, sees Victoria's silhouette in the doorway. Victoria doesn't say anything at first, just stands there, letting the silence stretch out, letting Emma's fear build. Then she walks over to the bed, sits down on the edge, and Emma can smell her perfume. That sickly sweet floral scent that makes her want to gag. "You tried to destroy me," Victoria says, her voice so quiet Emma has to strain to hear it. "You tried to take everything from me. My marriage, my reputation, my life. Do you have any idea?" Emma doesn't answer. Her heart's pounding so hard she thinks Victoria must be able to hear it. "But they didn't believe you," Victoria continues. "Because I'm smarter than you. I've always been smarter than you. And now everyone knows you're a liar. Even your precious therapist is going to think twice before she believes anything you say again." She stands up, walks to the door, then turns back. "Things are going to be different now, Emma. You've lost what little freedom you had. Now on, I own you completely. And if you ever try something like that again, I'll make sure they send you away. There are places for troubled girls like you, you know. Residential treatment facilities where they lock you up and throw away the key. Is that what you want?" Emma shakes her head, tears streaming down her face. "Good," Victoria says. "Now go to sleep. You've got chores in the morning." And she does make things different. Emma's not allowed to close her bedroom door anymore. Victoria removes it from the hinges, says Emma lost the privilege of privacy. Emma has to ask permission for everything now, even to use the bathroom. Victoria makes her account for every minute of her day, where she is, what she's doing, who she's talking to. School becomes a nightmare too, because word gets around that Emma made false accusations against her stepmom. Kids are cruel, you know. Emma stops going to Dr. Patterson. Well, Victoria stops taking her. Tells Tom that Dr. Patterson was encouraging Emma's delusions, that she wasn't helping, that they need to find someone else. But they never do find someone else. Emma just stops getting therapy altogether. She's 14 now, and she's essentially given up. She exists. That's about it. Wakes up, does what Victoria tells her, goes to school, comes home, does more of what Victoria tells her, goes to bed. Repeat. It's not living. It's just surviving, barely. Her dad's like a stranger to her now. They barely talk anymore. When they do, it's surface level stuff. How was school? Fine. Did you do your homework? Yes. There's this huge wall between them, built brick by Victoria's manipulation, and Emma doesn't know how to tear it down anymore. She starts having these dark thoughts about what it would be like to just not exist anymore. She's not actively suicidal, not planning anything, but the thoughts are there, floating in the back of her mind. Sometimes she thinks about how peaceful it would be to just not have to deal with any of this anymore. One night she's lying in bed, staring at the ceiling, thinking about her mom, trying to remember her face, her voice, the way she used to laugh. But it's been so long, and the memories are fading, slipping through Emma's fingers like water. She can't quite picture her mom's smile anymore, can't quite remember the sound of her voice, and that terrifies her more than anything Victoria's done. The idea that she might forget her mom completely, that Victoria might win so thoroughly that Emma loses even her memories of the only person who ever really loved her. She pulls out the one photo she has left, the little school picture she's kept hidden all these years. She looks at it in the moonlight streaming through her window, and she makes herself a promise. She's gonna survive this. Somehow, some way, she's gonna make it through. Because giving up, letting Victoria win completely, that would be letting her mom down. It's not much of a plan, but it's something to hold on to. Freshman year of high school starts, and Emma's at a new school. Bigger, more anonymous, and that's actually kinda good, 'cause nobody here knows her story. Nobody's heard the rumors about her being a liar and making up abuse allegations. She can kind of blend into the background, be invisible. She keeps her head down, doesn't try to make friends, just gets through each day. Her grades are still pretty bad because she's so exhausted all the time, and Victoria barely lets her do homework, but she's passing, barely. That's all that matters. There's this teacher, though, Mr. Chen, who teaches English. And he's different from the other teachers, more observant maybe. He notices things, like how Emma's always wearing long sleeves even when it's hot, how she never eats lunch, how she flinches when people move too fast near her, how she's always exhausted, barely awake in class. He starts keeping an eye on her, not in a creepy way, just in a concerned teacher way. He lets her stay in his classroom during lunch, says she can use it as a quiet place to read or do homework. Emma's grateful for it because it means she doesn't have to sit in the cafeteria alone, doesn't have to watch other kids with their friends and their normal lives. One day she's in his classroom, supposedly reading, but really just staring at the page. And Mr. Chen sits down at the desk next to her. "Emma," he says quietly, "are you okay? And I don't mean the automatic, I'm fine, okay. I mean really, are you okay?" And Emma, she's built up all these walls. Learn not to trust adults because they never believe her anyway. But there's something about the way Mr. Chen asks, something genuine in his concern, that makes her want to tell the truth. "No," she says simply, "I'm not okay." "Do you want to talk about it?" he asks. Emma thinks about it. Thinks about how talking last time got her nowhere, just made things worse. But she also thinks about how much it hurts to carry all this alone, to never say any of it out loud. "My stepmom hates me," she says finally, testing the waters. "She makes my life hell. But nobody believes me because she's really good at pretending to be nice." Mr. Chen doesn't dismiss her, doesn't tell her she's exaggerating or that she needs to try harder to get along with her stepmom. He just nods and says, "I believe you." Those 3 words. Emma almost starts crying right there. Nobody's said that to her in years. Nobody's believed her. "What does she do?" Mr. Chen asks. And Emma tells him, not everything, she doesn't want to overwhelm him, but enough. The constant criticism, the impossible standards, the way Victoria controls every aspect of her life, the isolation, the verbal abuse. She doesn't mention the physical stuff, doesn't want to scare him off, but she gives him enough to paint a picture. Mr. Chen listens, really listens, and when Emma's done talking, he says, "Emma, that's not okay. That's not how you should be treated. Have you told your dad?" Emma laughs, but it's bitter. "My dad thinks Victoria's perfect. She's got him completely fooled. He doesn't believe me." "What about CPS? Have you?" "Tried that," Emma interrupts. "They investigated. Victoria convinced them I was lying. Made everything look perfect for their visit. Case got closed." Mr. Chen looks frustrated, like he wants to fix this but doesn't know how. And Emma gets it. She does. What can he do? He's just a teacher. He can report what she's told him, but it'll go nowhere. Just like last time. "Listen," he says, "I can't fix this for you. I wish I could, but I can't. But I can give you a safe space here. You can come to my classroom anytime you need to. Lunch, before school, after school. And if things get really bad, if you're ever in danger, you come find me immediately, okay?" Emma nods. It's not much, but it's more than she had yesterday. A safe space. Even just for an hour a day, that's something. She starts spending a lot of time in Mr. Chen's classroom. He doesn't push her to talk, doesn't interrogate her about her home life, just lets her exist in peace, read books, do homework. Sometimes they chat about random stuff, like movies or music. It becomes her refuge, the one place where she doesn't have to be on guard constantly. Victoria notices, of course. She always notices. She starts asking Emma why she's staying late at school, who she's with, what she's doing. Emma lies, says she's in the library studying, but Victoria's suspicious. Starts showing up at school unannounced, checking on Emma, making sure she's where she says she is. One day, Victoria shows up and sees Emma coming out of Mr. Chen's classroom. and you can see the calculation in her eyes, the way she's already spinning this into something sinister in her head. That night, Victoria sits down with Tom and tells him she's concerned about Emma's relationship with this male teacher, that it seems inappropriate, that Emma's spending too much time alone with him. She doesn't accuse Mr. Chen of anything outright. She's too smart for that. But she plants seeds of doubt, makes Tom uncomfortable with the idea. Tom, who's been mostly checked out of Emma's life, suddenly decides to be a concerned parent. He tells Emma she's not allowed to spend time alone with Mr. Chen anymore, that it doesn't look good, that she needs to find somewhere else to study. Emma tries to explain that Mr. Chen, she stops eating almost entirely. Not as a conscious decision, she just doesn't have the energy to care about food anymore. Doesn't see the point. Her clothes start hanging off her and she's dizzy a lot, but nobody really notices, or maybe they just don't care. Her grades drop even further. She's failing most of her classes now, barely showing up mentally, even when she's physically present. Teachers send notes home, but they go to Victoria, who tells them that Emma's going through a difficult phase, that they're getting her help. All the usual lies. Emma starts cutting, not deep, not suicidal, just enough to feel something other than the constant numbness. Little scratches on her upper thighs where nobody can see. It's not about wanting to die. It's about needing to feel in control of something, even if it's just the pain. She hides it well. Wears jeans all the time, is careful in gym class. But Mr. Chen, even though Emma's not allowed to spend time with him anymore, he's still watching. He notices how she's deteriorating, getting thinner, more withdrawn, more dead behind the eyes. He reports his concerns to the school counselor, says he thinks Emma's in trouble, that something's really wrong at home. The counselor, Mrs. Perry, calls Emma in for a meeting. Emma sits in her office, staring at the motivational posters on the walls, all those stupid quotes about believing in yourself and reaching for the stars. Like any of that matters when you're trapped in a nightmare you can't wake up from. Emma, Mr. Chen's worried about you, Mrs. Perry says. I'm worried about you. Your grades are slipping. Teachers say you're disengaged. You've lost a lot of weight. What's going on? Emma doesn't answer. What's the point? She already knows how this goes. She talks. The counselor expresses concern. They investigate. Victoria makes everything look fine. Nothing changes. She's done this dance before. Emma, I can't help you if you don't talk to me, Mrs. Perry says, and she sounds frustrated. Nobody can help me, Emma says quietly. So why bother? That's not true. If something's happening at home, if someone's hurting you, I already tried telling people. Emma interrupts, her voice flat. CPS investigated. They said I was lying. So that's that. Can I go now? Mrs. Perry looks like she wants to push harder, but what can she do? Without Emma's cooperation, without proof, her hands are tied. She lets Emma go. Things come to a breaking point on Emma's 15th birthday. She wakes up that morning, and for a second she forgets what day it is. Forgets that she's supposed to feel something about turning 15. And then she remembers, and she just feels empty. Her dad gives her a card at breakfast with $50 inside. It's generic, probably picked out by Victoria, with some bullshit about our special girl printed inside. He hugs her, tells her happy birthday, And Emma goes through the motions of being grateful. Victoria made cupcakes, brought them out with candles, and Tom sings Happy Birthday while Victoria stands there with that fake smile. Emma blows out the candles, doesn't make a wish, because what's the point? And chokes down a cupcake she doesn't want. So, what do you want to do today? Tom asks. It's your birthday. Your choice. And Emma, she doesn't even have to think about it. Tom looks hurt, and Victoria jumps in with, "Oh, Emma, don't be like that. Your father's trying to do something nice for you." But Emma's done. She's so done with all of it. "I said I want to be alone." She goes to her room. Well, it's not really her room anymore without a door, just a space where she sleeps, and she lies on her bed and stares at the ceiling. And she thinks about how her mom used to make her birthday special. They'd make pancakes together with chocolate chips in them, and her mom would let her open presents in the morning before school. Her mom would always write her a letter telling her how proud she was, how much she loved her, how special Emma was. Emma wonders what her mom would think if she could see her now. This hollow shell of a kid, just going through the motions, barely hanging on. Would she be disappointed, sad, angry at Tom for letting it get this bad? She pulls out that old photo of her mom, the one she's kept hidden all these years, and she just stares at it. And for the first time in a long time, she lets herself really cry. Not quiet tears, but big, heaving sobs that shake her whole body. She cries for her mom, for herself, for the life she should have had, for everything Victoria's taken from her. And Victoria hears her. Of course she does. She comes into Emma's room, barges in really, since there's no door to knock on, and sees Emma lying there crying, clutching that photo. "What's that?" Victoria asks, even though she obviously knows what it is. Emma doesn't answer, just holds the photo closer. Victoria walks over, and before Emma can react, she snatches it out of her hands. Emma scrambles up, reaches for it, but Victoria holds it up high where Emma can't get it. "Give it back," Emma says, her voice breaking. "Please, that's all I have left of her." "This is why you can't move on," Victoria says, looking at the photo with distaste. "This is why you're stuck in the past, making everyone miserable. You need to let go, Emma. Please," Emma begs, and she hates how desperate she sounds. But she doesn't care. "Please don't take that. It's the only picture I have." Victoria looks at Emma, looks at the photo, and something shifts in her expression. Like she's realized she's finally found Emma's breaking point. The one thing that can hurt her more than anything else. Dot. "Maybe that's for the best," Victoria says, and she rips the photo in half. Emma screams. Actually screams. Launches herself at Victoria, trying to get the pieces of the photo. Victoria tears it again and again until it's just confetti in her hands. And then she lets the pieces fall to the floor. Emma drops to her knees, trying to gather the pieces, but there's so many, and they're so small, and some of them are torn right through her mom's face. She's sobbing, can't breathe, can't think, and Victoria just stands there watching her fall apart. Tom comes running up the stairs, alarmed by the screaming, and finds Emma on the floor surrounded by torn paper, hysterical, and Victoria standing calmly nearby. "What happened?" he demands. "She attacked me," Victoria says, and her voice is shaky like she's the victim here. I came in to check on her because I heard her crying, and she just lost it, Tom. She tried to hit me." "That's not true!" Emma screams. "She tore up my mom's picture, the only one I had. She destroyed it." Tom looks at the pieces of photo on the floor, and Emma can see him trying to figure out what really happened. For a moment, just a moment, she thinks maybe he'll see through Victoria's lies this time. But then Victoria starts crying, these perfect little tears, and she says, "I'm sorry, Emma. I didn't mean to upset you. You dropped it when you came at me, and it must have gotten torn in the struggle. I'm so sorry." And Tom believes her. Of course he does. He always believes her. He tells Emma to calm down, to go wash her face, that they'll talk about this when she's not so emotional. And Emma realizes that this is it. This is the moment where she either fights or gives up completely. She chooses to fight, not in the way Victoria expects, not by lashing out or making a scene. Emma realizes that she's been playing Victoria's game this whole time, trying to convince people, trying to get adults to save her. But nobody's coming to save her. She has to save herself. That night, after everyone's gone to bed, Emma carefully gathers every single piece of that torn photograph. She finds tape, spends hours in the dim light from the hallway, piecing it back together like the world's saddest puzzle. It's not perfect. There are lines running through it, pieces missing. But she can see her mom's face again. That's what matters. She hides it in a new spot, somewhere Victoria will never think to look. Inside the lining of her backpack, sewn in carefully with thread she took from the sewing kit. And then she starts planning. She's 15 now, almost 16. 3 more years until she's 18 and can leave legally. 3 years sounds like forever, but Emma's survived this long. She can survive 3 more years. She just needs a strategy. First thing she does is start documenting everything. She finds an old phone in a drawer, one of Tom's old ones that still works, even though it's not connected to a plan. She starts taking pictures. Pictures of the chore lists Victoria gives her. Pictures of her room without a door. Pictures of the bruises when they happen. She writes down everything Victoria says to her, everything she does, with dates and times. She creates a secret email account on the school library computer and sends everything to herself, building a record that exists outside Victoria's control. Second thing, she starts playing the game better. She becomes the perfect, obedient stepdaughter when Tom's around. Maybe Victoria will ease up a little. And it works, kinda. Victoria seems almost disappointed that Emma's not fighting back anymore. But she also loosens the reins just slightly. Emma gets her door back, gets a little more freedom. Not much, but enough. Third thing, Emma focuses on school. She starts actually trying again, bringing her grades back up slowly but steadily. She's not going to be a straight-A student. There's too much chaos at home for that. But she gets herself to solid B's and C's because she knows that college is her escape route. If she can get into a college far away, get scholarships, she can leave and never come back. Mr. Chen helps, Even though Emma's not supposed to spend time with him, he slips her books, gives her extra credit assignments, writes her recommendations for scholarship programs. He never asks about her home life again, but Emma knows he's watching out for her in his own way. Stop. The next 2 years pass in this weird limbo. Emma's going through the motions, playing her part, surviving day by day. Victoria's still cruel, still controlling, but Emma's learned to navigate it better. She keeps her head down, doesn't give Victoria reasons to escalate, saves every bit of anger and pain for the secret record she's building. She turns 16, 17, starts applying to colleges, faraway ones, anywhere that's not here. She applies for every scholarship she can find, writes essays about overcoming adversity without giving too many details, pours everything into getting out. Tom notices that Emma seems more stable, less troubled. He thinks Victoria's methods are finally working, that Emma's finally matured and accepted their family. He has no idea that his daughter's just counting down the days until she can escape. Victoria knows, though. She sees the college brochures, sees Emma researching schools, and she doesn't like it. She starts making comments about how college is expensive, how Emma should maybe go to community college and live at home, how she's not ready for independence. But Emma's prepared for this. She's already been accepted to 3 schools with enough scholarship money to cover most of her costs. She's been working part-time jobs. Victoria couldn't stop her from getting a job because it looked bad. And saving every penny. She's got a bank account Victoria doesn't know about, money hidden away. The fight comes in the spring of Emma's senior year. She gets accepted to a school in California, across the country, with a full-ride scholarship. It's perfect. It's everything she needs. She tells her dad at dinner, "California. Emma, that's amazing. I'm so proud of you." But Victoria's face darkens. "Absolutely not. You're not going all the way across the country. What if something happens? What if you need us?" "I'll be fine," Emma says, trying to keep her voice calm. "It's a great school, Dad. Full scholarship. I won't cost you anything." "That's not the point," Victoria snaps. "You're only 18. You're not ready for that kind of independence. Tell her, Tom." And this is the moment. This is where Tom has to choose between his wife and his daughter. Emma holds her breath, waiting. Tom looks at Victoria, then at Emma. Really looks at her. Maybe for the first time in years. Sees this young woman who somehow survived and grown up despite everything, who's worked her ass off to earn this opportunity. "I think," he says slowly, "that Emma should go." Victoria's face goes white with fury. "Excuse me?" "She's earned it, Victoria. It's a full scholarship to a great school. We can't hold her back from that." "We need to discuss this privately," Victoria says through gritted teeth. They go into their bedroom, and Emma can hear them fighting. Victoria's voice getting louder, more shrill, saying things like, "Ungrateful, after everything I've done. You're choosing her over me." Tom's voice stays quieter, but Emma can tell he's standing firm. They fight for hours. Emma sits in her room, heart pounding, terrified that Victoria will win this like she's won everything else. But when they finally emerge, Tom comes to Emma's room and says, "You're going to California. We'll help you move in August." Emma almost can't believe it. She's actually getting out. The next few months are tense. Victoria barely speaks to her, which is honestly a relief. She makes passive-aggressive comments, tries to sabotage Emma's preparations in small ways. But Tom's watching now, actually paying attention, and he shuts it down. Emma wonders what changed. Why now, after all these years, did her dad finally stand up to Victoria? She'll never know for sure, but she thinks maybe he saw something in her eyes that night, some echo of the little girl he used to know, and couldn't bear to crush it. Move-in day comes. Tom drives Emma to the airport, helps her check her bags. Victoria refused to come, said she had a headache. Emma's relieved. She doesn't want Victoria anywhere near this moment. At the security checkpoint, Tom hugs her tight. "I'm sorry," he whispers into her hair. "I'm sorry I didn't see it sooner." Emma pulls back, looks at her dad. He's got tears in his eyes, and she realizes he finally knows. Maybe not everything, but enough. Enough to feel guilty, enough to understand he failed her. "I survived," Emma says simply. "That's enough." "Call me when you land," Tom says. "And Emma, I love you. I always have, even when I didn't show it very well." "I know, Dad." She goes through security, doesn't look back. On the plane, she pulls out that taped-together photo of her mom. Looks at it for a long moment. "I made it, Mom," she whispers. "I survived her. I'm free." The plane takes off, carrying Emma away from the nightmare she's lived in for 10 years. She doesn't know what comes next. Doesn't know if she'll ever fully heal from what Victoria put her through. But she's alive, she's free, and she's got a chance to build a life that's actually hers. Years later, Emma's in therapy, really dealing with the trauma for the first time. She's learned words for what happened to her: emotional abuse, psychological torture, neglect. She's learned that it wasn't her fault, that she was just a kid, that she deserved better. She's also learned that she's stronger than she ever thought possible. Because she survived. She survived years of torment that would have broken a lot of people. She kept that tiny spark of herself alive through all of it. Never let Victoria extinguish it completely. Ugh. She doesn't talk to Victoria anymore. Hasn't spoken to her since she left for college. She talks to her dad sometimes. Brief phone calls where they carefully avoid discussing the past. It's not a great relationship, but it exists, which is more than she expected. She's built a life for herself. Got her degree, got a job she loves, got friends who actually care about her. She's learning what it feels like to be safe, to be valued, to be loved in healthy ways. It's weird sometimes. She still flinches when people are nice to her, still waits for the other shoe to drop. But she's working on it. And sometimes, when things are hard and she's struggling, she thinks about that little 8-year-old girl who lost her mom and ended up in hell. She thinks about how that little girl survived year after year of psychological torment. How she never completely gave up, even when she wanted to. And she feels proud of her, proud of the strength it took to endure. Emma keeps that taped-together photo of her mom on her desk now. It's faded and worn, held together with yellowing tape, but it's hers. Victoria couldn't destroy it, not really. Just like she couldn't destroy Emma, no matter how hard she tried. The scars are still there, probably always will be. Emma has trust issues, attachment issues, anxiety that flares up at weird times. She has nightmares sometimes where she's back in that house with no door on her room. Victoria's voice echoing through the halls. She wakes up in cold sweats, has to remind herself that she's safe now, that Victoria can't hurt her anymore. But she's healing. Slowly, painfully, but healing nonetheless. And she's helping other kids too. Volunteers with organizations that support children in abusive homes because she knows what it's like to be trapped, to feel like nobody believes you, to think you're going crazy. She tells them what nobody told her. You're not crazy. You're not the problem. It's not your fault. And you will survive this. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but someday you'll be free and all of this will be behind you. Because that's the truth about surviving psychological abuse from a stepmother, from anyone really. The wound goes deep, cuts in ways that don't show up on the surface, but you can heal from it. It takes time, it takes work, it takes believing that you... That's the end of Emma's story. Not a happy ending exactly, 'cause there's still pain, still trauma to work through. But it's a hopeful ending. An ending that says you can survive the unsurvivable. You can escape the inescapable. You can build something beautiful from the ashes of what tried to destroy you. Emma made it out. And if you're living through something similar, you can make it out too. Hold on. Keep fighting. Your freedom is coming, even if you can't see it yet. Just survive until you can thrive. All right, everyone, that's it for today's video. Thanks so much for hanging out with me. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment. I love reading your thoughts. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one.